Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna use some of my favorite Japanese and Korean beauty products to create a fun monochromatic look. I have recently changed up my hair color. As I've mentioned in other videos, I'm traveling back and forth between here in Canada and my parents in Virginia, so I only have a little bit of makeup with me and I was missing quite a few products. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. All right, my skin has been doing its thing the last couple days and it's not really knowing what's going on. So I have taken the time to really prime my skin. I've done my skincare once that absorbed because it's later at night. So after that first layer of moisturizer absorbed, I applied another layer, let that set in, and then my first layer of primer was my NYX Plump Right Back primer because this adds a nice layer of hydration and tack to the skin. For me, this is very similar to that Milk Hydro Grip primer I was talking about in a previous video, but I like this better and it's a lot more affordable. So this adds a nice tacky layer of moisture to the skin. Plump up the under eye area. I use the Jaclyn Cosmetics under eye primer, and I don't know what's going on with this. There's something almost gritty about the formula, but as you blend it in, those little granule feeling things almost dissipate and just go away. And then to add a little bit more radiance and tone correction, I use the Flower Beauty Supernova Celestial Priming Whip. That's a lot of prime, but with the way my skin's been feeling, I needed it. I'm gonna start off by doing my base today. And for that, I'm gonna be using the Missha Perfect Cover BB Cream with SPF 42 and a PA of 3+, and I'm using shade number 21. This video is actually kind of like an impromptu one because I was replying to some comments the other day, and one of my subscribers, she asked if I had tried this product, and I said, sure. Better yet, let me do a video. And here we are, we're doing the video. I had already recorded this video once and I was not a fan of how it turned out. Before any editing, I had almost 2 hours of footage and it was a lot because I was just feeling very, very chatty. And it was a lot of gratitude because for us here, Monday, October 10th was Canadian Thanksgiving. And I was doing the video on that Tuesday. I was feeling very thankful, and the subscriber who mentioned this in her comment is one of those people. She comments on a lot of my videos and I always look forward to seeing her comments. She's just such a wonderful person from my interactions with her in the comments, and I really love getting to interact and get to know all of you in the comments. And even though I don't always get to reply to comments, when I do, I just thoroughly enjoy it. And I also love getting to make like new friends. And it's so funny because I don't think I've met anyone in person from YouTube. I FaceTimed and I've done like Zoom, but I don't think I've met anyone face to face. And just these interactions that we get to have every week, getting to share my life with all of you and just getting to know all of you in your comments and learning what you like, what you don't like, your product suggestions. It's like making friends from all over the world. And at first when I started doing YouTube videos, talking to the camera was really, really challenging. But now when I turn the camera on to start recording a video, it no longer feels like I'm just talking to myself. I mean, even though I'm here in a room by myself, putting on makeup to go nowhere, it still feels like I'm sitting down with you at home and having a conversation. And that is just so wonderful. Wow. Okay. So this is the Missha Perfect Cover BB Cream in shade 21. I applied it the other day with my BK Beauty number 101. It did not look the best. My skin's been a little dry. I'm adjusting to a different climate and the seasons are changing, so my skin's been a little dehydrated. So I'm working on repairing my moisture barrier. So sometimes foundations aren't looking the best. So I'm using a damp beauty sponge and look at that. It's just really lovely. When used with a sponge, I can make the shade 21 work. 21 can sometimes be a little dark for me. I used to mix it with shade number, I believe it was 13. It's either 13 or 17. But using a sponge, shearing it out, this shade 21 I can make work for me. And it's such an easy product to wear. Now, I keep picking up more product, so when I dispense the product on the back of my hand, since I'm picking it up with a sponge, I always like to warm my product up on the back of the hand, really press my sponge into it, and then I really like to make sure it's diffused along the bottom, and then I like to tap over. When I'm applying foundations, whether I'm using my fingers, a brush, or a sponge, instead of just really kind of caking on and laying on the product in one area, I like to spread a very thin layer, and I keep going back, looking in mirrors. Like when I'm recording a video, I have my large vanity mirror behind here, I have my little tabletop mirror, and then I have a handheld mirror I'll use sometimes. And I always like to check makeup in different lighting, different distances, and different levels of magnification, because that will kind of give me a few different ways that people might view me throughout the day. And I always want to make sure any type of complexion makeup looks like my skin. And throughout the years of working at makeup counters, doing freelance makeup, doing some TV work, making sure the skin looks good has always been my biggest thing. Because if someone's eyes aren't blended perfectly, you can get away with it. If someone has a little too much blush on, you can get away with it. If their lip line isn't perfectly crisp, you can get away with it. If their foundation is kind of cakey, it's the wrong color, or it just looks patchy, you are going to notice that before anything else, because the skin is such a large feature. Our eyes tend to look at different points with that. So that's why I always like to make sure the skin is really perfected, but done in a way that is almost imperceivable. When I look at this, I'll come up closer so you can see what I'm looking at. I want to make sure I am not seeing anything sitting on top of or gathering in pores. Sometimes on the nose, things can settle into the pores I have there because they're larger and they can almost have a polka dot appearance. On the forehead, sometimes we'll have extra texture and product wants to settle there. Using this Missha BB cream, thinning out with a sponge, I feel like it just looks like a perfected, moisturized, healthy skin. So that is one full layer of the product all over, with a little bit more built up in certain areas. For me, this is all the coverage I need. If I wanted to, I could take a little bit of concealer to demonstrate a concealer. I'm gonna take a little bit more of this Missha BB cream. So I'm taking about a quarter of a pump, and I'm going to use this Perfect Tip Concealer by the brand the SAEM. I'm going to start by using my brush. This is my BK Beauty A506, and I'm just going to whisk together those two products. And with my handheld mirror, I'm going to hold this out and I'm going to tilt my chin down. I like to tilt the chin down and see right where I have hollowing under my eyes or any type of discolorations. To blend, you could use your brush, but I want to take away some of the product so it doesn't look heavy. So I'm going to go to the pointed side of my blending sponge and press over. I really enjoy that. Blending out my concealer, I'm going to elaborate on what I mentioned earlier. So I have been struggling with my hair color for what it feels like all of my life. Since I started doing my PRP treatment, which I'm going to do an update on soon, because oh my goodness, it's like the 6-month mark. After that first treatment, I'd already had the 4 under my belt. I was in my maintenance phase. I started off by having like an internal freak out because I was seeing a bunch of little short hairs all throughout the top of my head. And when I went to go get my hair cut, I was like, I don't know what's going on. I have so much breakage. And then she's like, I don't think that's breakage. She's like, these shorter hairs are all about the same length. So that makes me think it's new growth instead of breakage. Because if it's breakage, you have got to be doing something just right to get everything kind of that same level. I'm like, oh. So then I started looking, and then it's been a few weeks. I can see them getting a little bit longer. I'm like, oh wow, my hair's growing. I've been coloring for years. I don't like to use bleach on my hair when I do my hair at home, just because while I can bleach other people's hair, it's hard for me to get my foils just right when I'm doing it myself, trying to balayage or paint the hair. It gets a little hard, especially towards the back of the head, and that's just something I like to leave to another professional to do. That looks nice. I'm very happy with how this looks. I'm not gonna powder my face just yet. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to eyes. I'm gonna use this EGLIPS Blur Powder packed in shade number 13. This is a pressed powder that has a nice blurring property to it. It's very smooth and it's very velvety, and I like to use it as an eyeshadow base. So the only thing I'd had on my eyelids up to this point was just that NYX primer. that I used all over. And now I'm gonna use this powder to prime because I feel like it creates a very velvety base to blend shadows on top of. For my eyeshadow look, I'm gonna be using the Etude Dusty Cat Palette. And I just love this. It has these cute little like cat paw prints in it. I'm gonna be starting off with the light pink color, and I'm gonna use this as my all over base. So with my hair color, I normally just color it myself at home. And as far as my color range, I was trained in school, in cosmetology school in Virginia. They trained us using matrix color. So a lot of my coloring over the years, I used matrix, and then I took an interest in Kenra color. So I used that for a while, and then I began dabbling into some of the Joico K-Pact colors, which I believe I featured in an Empties video once. With my hair, what I've been trying to do is I want to brighten it up a little bit so it blends in with my sides, because on my sides, I've got gray coming in, and where I keep the sides of my hair short, if I touch up my color, I'm having to touch it up every 4 to 6 weeks. And when you're overlapping color like that, it can start looking a little funny. And I just don't like doing that, because in 4 to 6 weeks, most of the color, if you're someone who shampoos your hair more than a few times a week, which I shampoo my hair daily, then most of that color is going to fade out, but some of it will be left over. So then you were depositing color on top of color. I normally use permanent color, so that is a 20 volume developer, because 10 volume would be deposit only. And since I'm trying to do some gray blending, I need a little bit of lift to help everything blend in. So when you lift the hair, 20 volume will give you 1 to 2 levels of lift. So that means I'm breaking the base, which my hair is a natural. It's somewhere between a level 6 and a level 5. So scale goes, I think, 1 to 10, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I'm gonna take a little bit more of that pink shade. And then I'm gonna go into that mauve shade right in the middle and start blending and creating a socket line. So I'm lifting and breaking the base of my color, but I'm not lifting it to a point that would give me the same level of lift that a bleach or a lightener would. So that's when I start getting that natural undertone of my hair color, which by default is going to be a warm orangey tone, because that's the base pigment color. However, if you look at my natural hair color when I'm younger, like if you compare me and my mom, our hair color is about the same depth of color, except my hair was a lot cooler, a lot more ashy, where hers was a lot more warmer. So her hair, even though both of our hair looks brown, mine has a very dark ashy brown look to it, and then my mom's hair had more of a dark auburn brown color to it. With trying to blend into the gray, I wasn't having success at home on my own. Got my hair cut. I booked an appointment to also get it lightened. We did a full lighten all throughout the top so it would blend in with the sides. And she lifted me up to, I think it was either a level 9 or a level 10. We were like almost platinum, and then we toned it. And for toning, I think she used a color by Lanza, and I believe it was in their steel or titanium series. It was a gray. And after my hair was freshly colored, it was the most perfect gray. It was, do I have anything similar? Do I? Oh, it was very similar to the color of the BK Beauty and Angie brushes. So very nice, slightly darker, cool toned gray. I loved it. It went well with my suit for the wedding. Everything just looked great. Thinking back to the basic principles of hair and what we learn in school when we're learning about the anatomy and physiology of the hair, is my hair is very fine. My hair is also, I heat style it sometimes, I color treat it. So my hair is more porous, which means there's more opportunity, especially when you compare it with warm water from washing it. That color can kind of bleed out really quickly. So my beautiful gray hair was gray for 2 days. So I had it done Thursday. Friday, it was looking a little on the mint side, and by Saturday, I was like a tinted Nordic blonde, which I didn't mind. It was my first time in my life ever having a nice, cool, ashy blonde, which I really enjoyed. I just realized I'm very matchy-matchy today. So my nails are a color from Essie called Go Go Geisha. I'm not gonna go super close because I did not do a great job on my cuticle line, but this is from Essie. This is called Go Go Geisha. My sweatshirt is from, I don't remember if this is from Amazon Basics or Target. One or the other. I have the same sweatshirt from both brands. So it's either Target or Amazon. And then it's like the same color as my little tumbler. This is a Yeti tumbler and it's in, I think it's called Sandstone Pink, with this being part of the Yeti's breast cancer collection. And part of the proceeds go to breast cancer research, and that's what my mom's going through. That's why we're going back home. I'm like, let me get it. And it just happens to kind of fit into that same pinky color family that I love. And it kind of goes in line with my eyeshadow palette. I'm going to switch over to my BK Beauty A501. I'm going to go into that kind of muted dark pink in the top corner, and I'm gonna start putting this all over my eyelid. So now that my hair is lighter, it keeps bleeding out. I was trying to figure out ways to make sure that it would not keep bleeding out, because as much as I like the blonde, I wanted my hair to be gray. So I ended up going on Amazon and I purchased the No Orange shampoo because I just have a fear of my hair being like orangey or brassy. So I picked up the No Orange shampoo and mask from the brand Fanola, and then I picked up the Intense Silver Color Depositing Hair Mask from the brand Overtone. So I'm using those to keep my hair this kind of ashy grayish color that we've got going on. I'm gonna go back to that little face powder I used earlier on my BK Beauty A503, and I'm just gonna blend over. I want to move on to the rest of the face and just start building some color. I want to play with a newer brush in my collection. I was running out of my K18, which I'm using the K18 leave-in hair treatment because my hair's been color treated, and color treating will kind of take a toll on your hair. So I've been using the K18 leave-in treatment, which I really love. It makes my hair feel like, just like, it's almost like it's virgin untreated hair again. I really, really like that. But when I picked it up last time, I don't remember what YouTube video I saw this on, but someone talked about this Rare Beauty Cream Cheek Brush. So I picked it up and I'm gonna use it with my 3CE Cream Blush or Liquid Blush. And I believe this is called Fig, Soft Fig from the brand 3CE. I'm gonna use it with this brush. My goodness, it's like using your index and middle finger to tap on, but you're not getting your fingers covered with cream or liquid blush. It's got a slightly kind of feathery diffused edge, which is helping the product blend out. I'm liking the look where you kind of bring it up and under the eyes. I feel like it's just very, for my overall complexion, I feel like it helps to tie everything and make it look more cohesive. That's a good brush. I'm gonna take a little bit more, a little bit higher. I already had product on my brush, so I think we got a little too much. It's okay. I still haven't powdered anything, so I can blend this out a little bit more. I always like a little bit on the nose, on the chin to bring back some color harmony into the face. Pick up what's on the back of my hand. I'm gonna start building up on this side. I'm gonna bounce my beauty sponge into whatever residual concealer foundation I have on the back of my hand. And I'm gonna use this just to tap over that blush, soften it down a little bit. If I wasn't worried about getting oily, I could easily add a little bit of mascara. Actually, I'm gonna take my brush, work a little bit of that blush shade right here into the outer corner of the eye. So I'm almost taking the brush, making a line from the arch of my brow to the corner of my eyelid, brushing out, take my sponge, tap over to diffuse. That's really good. Rare Beauty brush, that's a win. I'm gonna powder my face now. I'm gonna use my Rom&nd Better Than Finish powder. I'm gonna use my BK Beauty, I believe this is just called the 105 Large Buffer Brush. Really enjoy this. I'm gonna tap over because I'm gonna use some powder products. So I want to make sure everything's set down so nothing sticks or grabs unevenly. I'm going to be using my Peri Para V Shading in the shade number 3 Hazel Gray, BK Beauty number 103. And I'm going to work this back into the cheeks. And I've realized I can't even count the number of videos I've posted where I've been using the same brushes, and it's the same assortment of BK Beauty brushes. I've also got an IT Cosmetics brush and an e.l.f. brush in this rotation. And I find that fascinating because not too long ago, I posted kind of a comprehensive review of all of the Rephr brushes I owned. And in that video, I had all of the Rephr brushes that had been released up to that point. Like, there's no doubt about it, Rephr has some good brushes. But I've noticed since that video, some of my brushes are starting to shed. And around the same time I picked up those, I also picked up these BK Beauty brushes, and then I picked up the A series, which is the collaboration with Angie from Hot and Flashy. And I just like those brushes better. They're softer, they clean up really easily, they haven't shed at all. I really enjoy them. The brush I'm gonna use now is my go-to brush for highlighter. This is the e.l.f. highlighting brush. I'm gonna use the Clio Highlighting Duo, and this is in 02 Lavender Voyage. And I'm gonna start off with this kind of muted purpley side. I'm gonna buff that right up onto the cheekbone, wrap into the temple. I'm gonna even get into this outer corner of the brow because I will go through and cover that with my brow product. But that's just gonna create almost like a face framing halo of color. Then I'm gonna take the more intense peachy shade and I'm gonna get a little bit right through here. So I was placing at the brow, dragging down to the high point of the cheek. It's also gonna help diffuse that outer color of the shadow just a little bit. This is really nice because the brush is just, you're brushing it down so quickly, it's only really catching on the high point. So it's getting the arch of the brow, the high point of the cheek to create a spotlight effect. I just really like how pretty and subtle that is. Now I'm gonna move into adding more blush, because more blush is more blush, and I love more blush. This is the same blush I used in the last video that went up my channel. This is from the brand Rom&nd. This is a Better Than Cheap, and this is number 3 Blueberry Chip, my IT Cosmetics blush brush. It's a very strong, cool toned blue-based pink, and it has a little bit of a white base color to it. So it has a very pastel feeling. It's really great for adding some brightness to the face, but I like to use it with a light hand. I'm gonna go right over top of where I placed that 3CE liquid blush, and I'm using a very light hand to stipple and bounce it on. Just like that, it's gonna add a very kind of icy, chilly effect to the cheeks. I really like shades like this, but these really pale blue-based pinks, if you're someone who has a very kind of warm, more yellow, golden undertone, it's gonna have a nice kind of brightening effect. It's gonna have a very kind of cute, youthful effect to it. However, it's very limiting because I feel like if a person is deeper than, I would say, fair pushing into light, they might pull up a little too chalky, a little too pastel. The way I like to use it is like how I'm doing it now, is layering on top of something a little bit darker, a little bit brighter, and then just being very intentional with the placement, and then softly, almost with my pressure on the brush, I'm just barely staying on top. You'll see my bristles barely move. It's like a very gentle glazing effect. I'm not pressing in, I'm not polishing it in. I'm just glazing to smooth everything in. And then I go into another K-Beauty blush I love. This is from the brand Wake Make. This is in number 3, and this is either called Lavender Delight or Mauve Delight, but I'm going to really load up my brush with this. Tap off my excess. We go right here out the cheek. This does have a light reflect, and I'm going to press down gently. I'm not going to press down and splay the blush like this. I'm going to press it down. That way it's contact with the skin, but then I'm going to buff and polish it here on the outer portion of my face. And it's just to create a very dimensional lift. It's almost like a contour effect without contouring, even though we did use the Peri Peri contour powder, but that was more to add a little bit of shadow to the skin. It was more to create a dimensional effect versus chiseling out a new face shape. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that Better Than Finished powder with my BK Beauty brush, and I'm just going to lightly tap over where I did my blush. I'm going to use this as a soft finishing powder just to diffuse everything out. My McQueen eye pencil in the shade number 07 Aura Heroine. With this pencil, I'm going to start right in the very center of my eye. I'm just going to draw. It's a very kind of messy short line. And then I'm gonna pick up my BK Beauty. This is my A502. I'm gonna angle it downwards and buff that right in. Probably get a little bit closer on the sun, show you even more. So from the middle to stopping just before you get to the outside corner of the eye, pointed pencil brush. And sometimes if I need to, I will take my pencil brush straight in and buff side to side. What I'm doing is I'm creating a backdrop effect for the mascara. That way it just adds a little extra bulk and oomph to the lashes. And if you're not the best at applying eyeliner, it does most of the work for you. Now I'm gonna use a little bit of my Rom&nd Han All Fix mascara, which might be one of the best products I found throughout this entire year. It is so good. So there is one eye with mascara. versus without. I just feel like it does so much for the lashes and they just look so much better than they really are. And to finish off my look, I'm gonna be using a lipstick that one of my friends from here on YouTube sent me. And this is a Suqqu Soft Matte Lipstick in the shade number 114. And my very, very sweet friend Lena, her channel is Lena Lore. I've mentioned her a few times here on my channel. She sent this to me because she was just like, you need to try this out. Oh my goodness, I am so happy she sent this to me. I like to start in the very center point of my lip and then kind of press and rub, really spread it out. And then I'm gonna use my finger to go through and really buff and blur. You can see this, it's gonna add this nice cool toned berry, slightly mauve shade. And I can go back through, focus on that inner border of my lips and just really build up the color to the point that I want it. But what I like about this shade is if you just want to wear it as a normal lipstick, it's a very beautiful berry mauve, but it's such a flexible color. You can really build it up or sheer it out like I've done to create the perfect color that you want. I really enjoyed the way this feels on lips. It's weightless. Once it dries down, it sets, you don't feel it move. I really like it. And I've been loving creating a gradient with it. So this is a product from a K-beauty brand I've talked about numerous times. This is the Mood Glow lip color from the brand Hints in the shade Alluring, which is very fitting because I was just speaking of Lena and her channel is called Lena Lore and this is called Alluring. But I'm gonna apply this to the very center point of my lower lip. And that's just gonna add a touch of warmth and a little bit of shine to the lip. Now that lips are on, I feel like that is going to complete our look. I don't feel like there's a need for setting spray or finishing powder. I feel like that's really good where it's at. Thank you all so much for being here. Major thank you to my lovely subscriber Gladys for suggesting the Missha Perfect Cover BB Cream. I hope this demonstration helped you out with it. I need my little mirror because yeah, here my magnifying mirror. This is a 10 times magnifying mirror and I feel like this look altogether has just really smoothed out the texture of my skin. It's not overly matte, it's not overly dewy, it's that perfect skin-like median. And thank you so much to Lena for sending me this Suqqu lipstick. I absolutely love it. Even more, thank you so much to all of you at home, my YouTube family, friends, beauty community, whatever we want to call ourselves. Just thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, interact with my channel, and liking content because that helps out my channel so much more than any of you know. I'm just so grateful for it. So thank you all so much for being there and just being so wonderful. And I cannot wait to see you all in the next video. Take care of yourself wherever it is you are in the world, and I will see you soon. Bye, y'all.